Hey YouTube, EdTech Ginger here with the sixth episode of our vlog dealing with educational technology, innovation, and in the context, of course, of the COVID-19 stay-at-home orders that we've had nationwide in education. So earlier in the first episode, I said that I was going to take a look at both hardware and software and doing a little bit of reflection. I've been looking back at the videos, and it's been all software based so far. So today really going to take a look at some hardware innovations in educational technology in the context of COVID-19, but also again from a social justice, special ed point of view, very close to my heart in terms of um, where I feel like I've grown the most as a teacher in the past 3 years has really been my mindset about backwards design with my students who have uh, IEPs and special educational accommodations, and how amazing it can be for me as a teacher to see them grow because of um, taking their needs into account, but also to see how other students and really everyone in the classroom can be reached through backwards design. So, like I said, special ed very close to my heart, and something that I'm passionate about as well. So, we're going to take a look today at the concept of immersive hardware technologies. And when we're talking about immersive technologies, we're really thinking about the advent of AR, which is augmented reality, and VR, which is virtual reality. I'm a kid of the 90s. I was born in the 80s, but I was a kid during the 90s and grew up during the 90s. And I remember the first VR thing that I ever remember seeing was Game Boy VR. It was so cool. You know, you put those goggles on and you were playing the Game Boy. Um, it was just unbelievable. I couldn't even believe that something that amazing was real. And then, you know, fast forward nearly 30 years. Wow, I feel old. I feel like I should have some gray here or something. But anyway, fast forward nearly 30 years, and VR is a real thing. It's beyond what we can imagine it would become in terms of the way that technology has progressed. But we want to focus it not in terms of it being a cool factor, which it certainly is. We're looking at it from an innovation point of view in technology. So, um, immersive technologies really can have a huge impact on special education populations because it can allow them to allow those students to experience potential career and social skills in the safe context and environment of the classroom. Very similar to how Teach Live allows teachers to try out those pedagogical techniques in a classroom setting with AR, with AI avatar students. This allows special education students to really experience virtual reality and prepare them for situations in the real world that they may have to deal with. Something as simple as, you know, understanding gestures, to dealing with law enforcement, to just some of your basic social skills and social rituals that for certain students may be anxiety causing or just completely foreign to them in terms of how their brain processes that information. So, some statistics to back up why it's important to have these experiences for students with disabilities, because I truly believe that everything should be data based, um, data hyphen based. That is, you need that proof from data to help to drive instruction and to drive um, your decision making. So first of all, students with disabilities are their unemployment rate after graduation is twice as high as students without disabilities. So instead of being college and career ready, um, about 7 out of 100, so it's about 7% of students with disabilities after they graduate become simply permanently underemployed or unemployed, period. Um, so definitely a failure of educational systems, and also um, unfortunately very capable and intelligent people become burdens to society, unnecessarily so, simply because they have not been given the opportunities to prepare for how they can contribute. Um, the other thing that some research showed, and this was based um, on an article from EdTech magazine, so is their research, educational experts say that 90% of students who have disabilities, given the training, the exposure, and the support in a school setting, would be prepared for college, post-secondary education, or career-ready applications. So some pretty amazing statistics that show what can happen when um, students with disabilities are given the right opportunities, and it's the potential for using innovative technologies allows us to meet those needs of those students. Now, things like legislation like IDEA and ADA require that school systems provide these accommodations, but they're potentially not always implemented in the right way, or potentially we're not using all of the tools that we could use to make sure that these students are prepared. And AR, but especially VR, is one of those ways that you can allow students to become prepared. We're going to focus in on a specific company called Floreo, founded by a husband and wife who have a son who is on the spectrum. And really what they started to want to help with was the concept of joint attention. So joint attention is a cognitive state of mind that let's back up. It's a cognitive state of mind where two or more people are able to focus on the same task or the same object of their attention, basically, at the same time, and interact and collaborate when they're focused on it. It's a fundamental skill for collaboration, for team based situations, for for so much of how we as social creatures, as humans, kind of interact and relate with each other. And joint attention is something that students and individuals who are on the spectrum, or who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, um, they lack. And it's a problem, and I know that that's medical terminology, but it makes them have difficulties relating to their caregivers, to their families, to their peers, simply because they're not unable to focus their attention on the same thing and kind of relate and communicate with it. So Floreo was this company that was founded by these two parents with their son as kind of a test subject, so to speak, and they decided to start using VR headsets because at the time the founder had a VR headset at home and was just trying various things to engage with their son. So fast forward about 5 years, and through beta testing, through different types of headsets, they've come up with a headset and certain scenarios and certain software packages that really are designed to help with this whole joint attention aspect of autism that makes it difficult for those students to relate. So they piloted it at a school, an alternative school called Celebrate the Children, which is in New Jersey, and with the goal of seeing if the VR software and the VR headsets because of the immersive quality of them. It removes distractions literally, so that you're kind of in your own world, so to speak. And something to remember also about Celebrate the Children, because it is an alternative school, many of the students there have very severe autism. They're very, very, some of them are nonverbal. Some of them have very low motor control, and 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 have had the disorder for quite some time. So that they are no longer in a regular education setting, even in a self-contained setting in a reg ed building. They are in a separate facility altogether. So Floreo's goal was to test their software and the hardware on some of the most severe cases to see if there was any progress toward it. So I'll show you a little bit of a video that demonstrates the kind of experiment that they were doing and the results. But a little bit of background: the test subject that you'll see in a moment is a boy named Max. He has very limited language skills. He has no joint attention skills, according to staff at the school. And yeah, we'll just take a look at the video. Let me share that with you so you can take a peek. I will also put the description of this video. I'll put the website so that you can see the whole video as well. All right.
When Floreo decided to pilot their program at Celebrate the Children, they wanted to find out if their VR tools could help kids like Max build skills like joint attention.
Okay, so Max, how are you feeling today? Okay, so you're gonna put this on. You're okay with your glasses, right? All right, there we are. Keep looking around. You found the chimp. Great job. Awesome. Let's see what else. Is that a bird squawking? Great job. You found it. First try. All right, I'll take it. Thank you. Great work, Max. Did you enjoy Floreo today? Great. Good work. Bye.
Unbelievable. It was incredible.
I'm impressed.
Processing language and accessing his language is very difficult for him. And that's where the anxiety comes down, the confidence comes up, and the motivation to come back and keep doing this.
And Max.
So as you can see, these seasoned professionals are almost literally at a loss for words in terms of the program and the hardware and the software in harmony together, what it's able to do for that student in just one session. Throughout their pilot, they used it on 12 students in the initial trial, and 10 out of those 12 showed improvement in their joint attention skills. So clearly, VR headsets were not designed for special education students, but using a hardware and software package together, prompted by, trying to solve a problem, literally with their own son, prompted these two individuals, the co-founders, of Floreo, to try to solve this problem, because they knew that they weren't alone. And they knew that they could use existing technology, bend it to the way that they wanted to use it, and creatively solve a problem. In its application, it seems like VR headsets are almost made for students who are on the autism spectrum, because it allows them to shut out distractions from the outside world. It allows them to move around in the world, not constrained by their body. So oftentimes you hear that students who have autism really feel a disconnect between their mind and their body, and like their body has a mind of its own almost, and they can't control it. And so you have these individuals who are highly intelligent, but are cloistered, imprisoned, trapped within a body that does not allow them to interact with others, with their peers, their parents, their caregivers, um, in a way that is not sometimes scary for other people, because their body is literally so out of control. Um, so I hope that that's kind of exciting for you. I'm not sure about the pricing. I was looking around on the Floreo website, and it was a little bit difficult to find that the website said that it was affordable. We all know that educational technology is usually not cheap, and special ed technology or special ed tools are definitely not cheap. So it remains to be seen whether it's a solution that every school could potentially have, but nonetheless innovative in its approach. And we all know that as technology comes out, it eventually will get cheaper. I mean, just look at the newest iPhone SE2 that came out. I mean, it has the same processor that the over $1,000 iPhone 11 has, and it's $400. I mean, you sacrifice some features, but like you still get that performance for a very affordable price. And the same thing is true with educational technology. Over time, that price point will lower and lower, and it will be able to benefit more and more people. So definitely check out the Floreo website. Like I said, I'll put it in the description below. Let me quick share the screen so I can give you a preview. They have some really awesome lessons here. So that clearly joint attention is their big one. They have imitative lessons, learning about gestures, street crossing, which is a huge one, how to navigate schools, small talk with your peers, which is a social skill, classroom social skills, so how to interact with a teacher and your peers at the same time, peers in a social setting at the cafeteria, and also with law enforcement. So, further, Halloween, like I was talking about earlier, those rituals, and definitely some of the most important ones, the social emotional aspect is not lost on the co-founders of Floreo, knowing that students with autism spectrum disorder, just like other students, but probably even more so than other students, need to have that social and emotional learning forefronted because of the way that their autism unfortunately causes a social disconnect with a lot of other people. So learning about how to calm the body, how to control the body, how to be mindful is very, very important, and to learn those empathetic skills, because those are the ways that we as humans make connections with each other. So like I said, very innovative, very cool, creative problem solving, which is some of the best ways that we can use technology. And I was really excited to see it, and I hope that you're excited to learn about it and to take a look at it yourself. Anyway, this is the EdTech Ginger signing off. Have a great day.